Welcome to our podcast, Let's See What Happens. And this podcast features two women with ADHD, and we talk about our life choices, maybe shed some light on life with ADHD, perhaps inspire. Probably not, though. Okay. What would you say you do here? Hello.
Hi, Natalie.
Tell me what you're doing right now.
Well, right
Like a
now,
good Midwestern person. Not that I have anything wrong with Midwestern people. It's very not an appropriate thing to say.
Well, like a good Midwestern person from the 1840s, I'm doing a cross stitch. I'm cross stitching this little cat. I got a stocking stuffer, and it's this tiny little cross stitch kit. I've never cross stitched before in my life. I'm going to be hyper fixated on this until the end of the day or until I finish this hat, and then I'm never going to fucking cross stitch again. Why? Let me tell you.
Because cross stitching is fucking dumb. That's why. I can tell you.
Natalie.
You stitch it and then you stitch it onto the stitch. And then what? You're supposed to hang it up? I think I probably went through a hyper fixation phase of 10 minutes where I was like, I'm going to cross stitch. Just like I went through one where I thought that I was going to felt. I went through a felting phase for a couple weeks, and then I felted everybody in my family felted things. And for Christmas, because I was on this, I'm not buying anything for Christmas, I felted them, little eggies and apples and things for them to play with. Yeah, I did that. Not their best Christmas.
There's no fucking point. The only people for whom cross-stitching makes sense, in my opinion, this is just one mildly psychotic woman's opinion. But the only people for whom cross-stitching makes any sense is a debutante in 1890 in the South, where it's too fucking hot to do anything other than have a fan going on you and drinking a lemonade, or I don't know, where we were keeping women dumb and just having babies and doing nothing else.
Yeah, cross-stitching is fucking stupid, and it's a misogynistic activity where they're like, oh, little ladies with no brain, let me give you this stupid fucking stitch so you can stitch on a stitch and then hang it up in your wall because you're so proud of it for some unknown reason.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is that?
What the fuck is that? It serves no purpose. You're not making anything. You're not making the world better. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting around stabbing a needle in a thing, doing nothing. But I'm going to do it this one time. I thought it would be funny if I was cross-stitching something dirty. Yeah, I would cross-stitch a dick on this thing. But instead I'm cross-stitching a pussy. Get it? Because it's a cat.
I was thinking more PG, like a butt, like butt cheeks. But that's fine. We could go with just straight up dicks, too.
Yeah.
You should do a dick and then put a huge red X through it and be like, fuck misogyny. And that should be your cross-stitch.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to figure out a pattern to cross-stitch something that basically just said fuck the patriarchy, but in old-timey vibes with little stupid flowers and probably some really overcomplicated shit. Really fucking stupid.
It's amazing how our lady brains have been able to think about how to even improve upon a cross-stitch.
Yeah.
Fucking Christmas miracle.
How can I cross-stitch words if I can't read?
So a fair point.
It's a Christmas miracle. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that they gave me this cross-stitching since I'm basically an unwed spinster who's worthless since I have no children. So
send you in a dunce cap in the corner. Fucking sit there, you ding-dong woman.
Cross-stitch. It's a long cross-stitch.
That's your punishment. You have to cross-stitch this pussycat. Oh my God.
Anyway,
so anyways, fuck cross-stitching.
Fuck cross-stitching. Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Let's See What Happens.
Today, I think we're going to talk about friends and how people make those, which we don't know how to do.
We don't know how to do.
We would give some obviously really well thought out advice about it. How to make friends. Who knows?
Who knows?
And also how to get boyfriends, because I feel like that is a really unique way that I've done that in the past.
Well, Natalie, I'm going to let you take it away. Why don't you start us off today?
Do we need to introduce ourselves again?
Oh, shit. We definitely need to introduce ourselves. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay. All right. I'll go first. I'm Natalie, and I feel like I am striving to be this kind of newer version of myself. Within that, there are some things that I'm trying to let go of and some things I'm trying to bring in, and that's fucking hard, and it's like a roller coaster. And that's what I'm doing. What are you doing?
I'm fucking cross-stitching, Natalie.
You are now a cross-stitcher as your main hobby.
Over here remaking herself into a new and better version. I'm regressing to, I don't know, early 19th century debutante.
I don't know. Cross-stitching a dick with a big cross through it and then writing fuck misogyny, that seems pretty awesome. That seems like the newer version of yourself. Yeah,
that's fair. I'm Lauren, and I hate the patriarchy, and I am taking out that rage toward the patriarchy with a tiny needle and threads. I also am just getting over being sick, which doesn't often happen. I'm also kind of becoming a new version of myself where I do things like have what I call a basic weekend, where we do things like go to the grocery store and make food. And it's a
interesting.
wild time.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
I
It's
got
amazing that your wild time. It's like the normal, what people typically do. I'm like, holy shit,
yeah,
you went to the grocery store and just like, made dinner? Wow.
yeah. And I got some pork dying out that I'm trying really hard not to forget about.
Yeah, that pork's dead. Good luck, pork.
Good luck, pork. It was a great idea while it lasted. I'm going to do it. And in today's outfit, as we've discussed, I usually wear different clothes every time we meet. Today, I'm wearing just a silky robe because why
A
not?
fancy
'Cause I'm having
robe.
a basic weekend. Yeah, silky robe.
Dude, that is a fancy robe. I'm in my
Thanks.
usual sweatpants sweatshirt up, but
Yeah.
very predictable.
I figured while I'm having this basic weekend, might as well be a fancy bitch. So here we go.
There you go. You're cross stitching in a silky robe. Typical woman.
Yes. Soon I'll get the pork ready for my man.
Yeah. With your bare feet. Anything else you need, sir?
A child? No. For those of you that don't know, I don't have kids, and I'm solidly on the anti-kid train for myself. But I'm really excited that other people have children. So thanks for supporting our economy and for making good versions of humans for the next generation.
That was an interesting plug. Okay, so back to
How do we make friends?
Which that's sort of how we do it. I view the world like anybody could be my friend, and that pretty much everybody wants to be my friend. So again, it's just walking around with these rose-colored glasses where I'm like, you want to be my friend and you want to be my friend.
Obviously.
Regardless of anything else that comes between us, regardless of whether I know them or not. And so I'll usually go up to people and make some joke, which I think is funny, but it could be not funny or wildly inappropriate. So an example would be a waiter comes over and he's like, "Can I take your order?" And I'm like, "I guess you have to do that if you want a tip." And I start laughing because I think it's super fucking funny. And then everyone at the table is like, "That's really aggressive and inappropriate." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. We're friends." They're like, "You just met this guy. He's not your friend. That is not the definition of friend. He's another human existing somehow. And unfortunately in your sphere without ever having a conversation with him. And then you just treat him like you go back 20 years and he understands your humor." That's how I make friends.
Is this episode about how to make friends or just how to not make friends?
Well, see, I don't know how to make friends, but that's how I do it. I would say sometimes people appreciate the humor and then they are my friend almost immediately. According to me. I think we need some other people in this interview.
No, definitely not.
Okay, that's actually better for my self-esteem. I like where I am right now. I feel like I'm flying pretty high on the friends thing. So I don't want to interview people who I'm like, "We're friends, right?" And they're like, "I'm sorry, what's your name again? Who are you?"
Definitely not add anyone else to this. So I think, though, this might just be a really good litmus test for making friends because they get all of you all at once.
Yes, they do. There's no holding back.
No confusion about who you are, how you're going to be, and how much you're going to insult them when you're actually friends.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people who are neurodivergent and perhaps have an ADHD diagnosis do a lot of masking. And I used to do a lot more of that growing up, where I went through very quiet phases. And now I feel like almost 100% of the time, I'm just completely me. And there's a lot of perceptions, I think, that come with that because it's a lot. And people aren't used to that. I'll meet someone and they'll be like, "Hey," and I'll be like, "What's up, fucker?" And they're like, "We don't know each other." And that's, why is that happening? And I'm like, "I don't know. Why are you talking to me?" And they're like, "Well, this will be our last conversation." So thank you. A good example would be, I have a hockey buddy and he's married and I mistook his wife for this woman who I saw quite frequently at the rink. So I thought I was going up and just talking to his wife about him. So I would go up to her and I'd say this guy's name. I would call him Bob. And I'd be like, "Oh, Bob's such an asshole. Can you believe that guy?" And she'd always like, and I was like, "Okay, well, another friend." Didn't think anything of it. And then I talked to him and I was like, "Your wife has such high cheekbones." And he was like, "My wife looks like," and I described. He was like, "That is not my wife." And I was like, "Oh, shit." For 2 months, I've been going up to the same random woman and talking about Bob and just like making fun of this guy, Bob, who she doesn't know, not her husband, not associated with him, and never said anything, just thinks I'm the weirdest human alive.
No. At this point, she is the weirdest human alive because there were many opportunities apparently for her to be like, "Hey, stranger, I think you might be talking about someone else," or "I think you might think I know Bob, but I don't know Bob." She had a lot of opportunities to correct this and never did.
I mean, I'm going to take her side though, because usually it's me just being like, "I'm Bob," and then being like, "Well, peace out," and leaving. I don't actually know if we had a conversation. I think it's just me spewing things about Bob at her and then leaving. We didn't actually have a conversation about it, just me talking basically to myself, to her, about what I thought was her husband, and then just leaving the area. And I think every time she was like, "Oh shit, You're probably like, oh, here comes that woman again talking about Bob, who I don't know, and talking shit about him. Like, that should be nice.
Being like, I'm apparently the confidant for this woman, and I had no idea. But now I know all of this dirt about Bob.
So, it's just like, I met another woman the other day who I play hockey with, and I thought she said her name was Corny, like Corny. So she was like, oh, I'm Corny. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting name. And then, because I thought it was an interesting name, every time I see her, I'm like, hey, Corny. Hey, Corny. I'm like, Corny, 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 Corny. And then finally, like 2 weeks into our friendship, she was like, you know, my name's Courtney, not Corny. And I was like,
nope.
That is a much more normal name. Yeah, actually, your name is really boring. So sorry about that. Oh my God. So I don't know. How do you make friends? I feel like everybody loves you.
Wow, that is different than how I feel about
So
that.
then this is an interesting point too, because some people will be like, everybody loves you, Natalie. And I'm like, that's not how I feel either, because I go at people and I'm 100% myself. And 50% of the time, I feel like people are like, wait, I don't even know what just happened to me. I feel violated. I'm making jokes to people about underwear and things that I don't think people make jokes about. And
I'm cross-stitching dicks on things. I think the best anecdote that can sum up the experience of people interacting with me in the world, and maybe we're friends, maybe we're not, is for my birthday, I received a gift, or maybe it was a housewarming gift for that house I accidentally bought. That happened right around the same time. We'll call it a twofer. I received a gift from a friend that is a giant 11 by 14 piece of paper. That was an old copy of Ladies' Home Journal from like 1914, which is amazing. And on it, the artist had printed in giant hot pink letters. So imagine like big newspaper magazine page, hot pink letters, and it says, don't break yourself into tiny pieces, stay whole and let them choke. That was a gift to me.
That's a lot. Poignant words.
At which point I said, I can't wait to frame this and put this in my office because
because all my office friends are going to love this.
Yes. And so I think your comment around that we just come at people and it's a lot, I think is accurate. So yeah, we have a lot of energy. I have a lot of energy and I'm often doing a lot of things. And so I often think that sometimes there's I have so many thoughts happening right now. Okay, we're going to parse them out.
You're doing great.
It's not
very clear what you're trying to say. I am like 20% with you, which is kind of a lot.
Okay, you made a comment about masking. And for a lot of years, yes, there was a lot of masking, except for me, it's the masking of being on and interacting in a way that other people do. Like I've watched people interact and I was like, I can do that. And then I would just behave kind of like they behaved or what I thought how a person and not a feral beast would behave. But that's really exhausting. I don't know how people just go about their days doing that. I think it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's way less exhausting to just be a feral beast. And so then there was a period of time where I got a lot of positive feedback for the big, loud version of myself, which is awesome, but also kind of a big energy output sometimes. If you are feeling depleted and that's what people are expecting of you, it's like a huge lift to like go be that person again. And so now I would say I'm kind of in this phase where the current struggle that I'm having is my brain moves really quickly and I'm learning that not everyone else can follow very rapid thought trains that I'm having. And so the current process of trying to like interact with people is a lot of needing to slow down. But when I find someone, to get back to your original question of how do I make friends?
You know, when you find someone and they get you and they talk fast and you're like, but it's me. And they're like,
and then we mostly just shout at each other for a while.
Yeah.
And there's like this ritualistic shouting and that feels really great. I think the moral of the story is if you just keep going about the world more like yourself. Yeah, there's going to be some people out there that you bump into who you're bitching about Bob to, who you realize maybe you think you have a relationship with them and they don't. But there's going to be other people that you find who are like, what? You talk about cross-stitching dicks onto a thing? Let's go.
Yeah. Masking can be many different ways. Basically, you're assumed to be one way, and that could be growing up as a kid. Obviously, girls growing up, right? Like there's this huge assumption, and hopefully that's changing now where you have to sit and be still and be quiet and behave, right? And so then you have that, and I had that kind of from a lot of different angles growing up, and I was very quiet, very behaved. And then I got into high school and I stopped being like that around my friends, but I was still like that at home. And then in college, just shit got super wild and I was 100% myself. And then I've been kind of trying to get back there and I've become a lot more like myself. And sometimes it's really interesting though, because I think a lot of people with ADHD also have anxiety. So I find now that I have this social anxiety, which is really interesting because I'm generally like a super friendly person and I love talking to people and I don't
Oh my
mind just
God,
like
yes.
being myself. But when I get around a group of people who I don't know, I tend to just totally implode and shrink. And unless I have somebody there who's like, hey, you're good, you got this, I'm just like, meow. And I don't say anything again. It's like I totally go in, which is so interesting. And I haven't quite found how to balance that or stay myself in those situations. And maybe it's just that those situations aren't for me. And I do so much better when I go into a place and I know everybody there. Like I'm so myself. But if I go into a place where I feel like I'm not good enough or if there's some inadequacy, I'm like 100% a different person. Super
Totally.
interesting.
Yeah. And I think also different settings and settings where there are consequence, right? Going into a social setting where there's no social consequence or there's no like actual consequence, not a big deal, but like where there might be a professional consequence, right? Or there could be a social consequence for the group of people. I don't really know what that social consequence would be. I'm making that up. But yeah, going into a large professional setting, totally. There's a whole different program that comes online where it's like, all right, we have to cosplay being a person now.
Yeah, totally. And I can do that for a while where I can be super on because again, like you, my brain moves really fast. So I'm able to be on. But I would say like after I work for a while or a couple hours, I'm just like, I'm so tired. I feel like my on to tired ratio is super high or low or whatever that would be. I get really, really tired very quickly from that.
Do you find that that's changed as you've gotten older?
I find that before I wasn't even aware of it. And I think growing up, I wasn't even aware at how tired I was. And I didn't know how to advocate for myself. And I didn't even know really what I loved to do or what kind of reset me. I have to be outside a lot. And that's a lot more than I even thought or recognizing it. So it took a lot of time just to be with myself to kind of figure that out. And the more I was able to be myself, the more it became clear innately as to, what fills me up, what doesn't, what do I like, what I don't like. But I think that's a hard thing for anybody to do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a hard thing for anyone. I think it's especially hard when the combination of ADHD and anxiety for a lot of people, I think, comes together as hyper self-awareness in some ways and also complete
not like the
numbness.
same hand motion. Just like complete not aware and also don't care. Not aware, don't care.
Which makes it really hard because if you're in that space and you also have to interact with the world and you're like, I don't know what to do. Because what I want to do is maybe just lie on the ground outside and stare at the sky or count blades of grass. Sounds great. Or go run 100 miles. Super duper. Amazing. Yeah. I got to interact with these people. What the fuck?
It's so true. I also think that the more that I have become myself, and maybe you found this too, it's like the more people are like, wow, you can frame it different ways. Either she's a light or she's super fun to be around or she's a lot or it's intense, right? Depending on their own triggers and their own beliefs and their own experience. But I feel like whatever it is now, there is more of a reaction. Whereas before, when I was less myself, it was just so. Like either people I feel like now will hate me or have an opinion, good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is true, right? I think as human beings, our brains are wired to connect with authenticity. And so if there's some sort of masking going on, or if there's some sort of like turning down, it's not going to go as well. There's a big battle with the anxiety, right? For me, that comes online where there's a lot of anxiety around, being my full self. And having that be accepted and having that be okay. And there's also a lot of moments where I'm like, oh yeah, the more me I am, the more aligned friends I attract.
It's so true. I only need 2 or 3 friends, but they're totally my people then.
Yeah.
Versus having 20 like so friends.
Yeah. So sorry, podcast listeners. Natalie's friends lead is full.
I have 2, and that's
enough. So that's it. I hope you don't want to be your friend because you can't.
You probably did. I'm also curious.
Bob's not wife is listening to this and she's like, thank God I don't have to be that woman's friend.
I am sorry about that. Sorry, sort of not sorry, because looking back, it's really freaking funny, but that must have been very awkward for you. Not for me at all, because I had no idea. But for you, I'm sure that was weird. I want to know also, Lauren, how you have gotten into romantic relationships in the past. Because that's something also I think for
aggressively.
Me yes, okay, me too. Stalker approach, and then I'm like, you like me now? How did that happen?
How have I gotten into a romantic relationship in the past? Well, I'll share the details of my current romantic relationship. Picture this, if you will.
Yes, I will.
It is summertime and some friends invite you to a volleyball game in the park. And they don't tell you it's a costume volleyball game. They just say, come play volleyball. But you decide it's a costume volleyball game. And so you put on some like cut off jean shorts and this old faded kids on the block, off the shoulder, old t-shirt. You put your hair in a side ponytail and you grab a couple White Claws that you put in your back pockets of these jean shorts and you go trotting on over to the park in your little 80s getup. And you're now playing a White Claw in hand volleyball game. So really classy. And you end up on a team. I'm using air quotes here because we were really, really bad. So you end up on a team of all women and you decide to start screaming across the net, through the net. It's very porous. If you've ever seen a volleyball net, not a lot of sound interference.
Yes, we're all with you.
And so you start screaming through the net, all right, ladies, beaver dam them. Instead of cock block them, you want to beaver dam them. And so you're screaming this. Why? The person on the other side of the net, they can definitely hear you. No screaming is necessary.
Better safe than sorry.
Better safe than sorry. You want to make sure the team really understands the mission here. And so you're screaming, all right, ladies, beaver dam them. And this guy comes running in from the side to join the opposite team. Now he's in your line of screaming, but you're like, wow, that guy's kind of good looking, kind of cute. Maybe I should talk to him after the game. And then by some miracle, he decides to talk to you. And you know, I was like, wait, how did you show up here? Where did you come from? You just ran in from the side. And he explained, oh, well, I live just right by the park here. And so-and-so rents a room in my house. And I was like, wait, that's my friend. And then it dawns on me who this guy is and that people have talked to me about him and have told me really good things about him and had been like trying to get us to meet. And instead of saying any of that, I looked at him and said, well, this is really awkward because I know things about you. So Natalie, not only did I scream at him, I then just dialed up the creep factor and was like, I know things about you. Yeah. Like I'm sitting outside his house in the bushes talking to him. What is wrong with me? Yeah.
Okay. That is amazing. That seems very similar to how I have gotten boyfriends.
If you're looking for dating advice, just scream beaver dam. That's the advice here.
I feel like my high school boyfriend, that's a very similar way how I got him
40,
to like
Natalie. So you're basically telling me I've used the same strategy.
Because my strategy is the same. From that point on, I've done the same exact thing for everybody. So this guy in high school moves to the town. My town had 42 kids in my graduating class, so it's not a big school. He moves in, he's cute, and everyone's talking about him. And I'm like, I'm going to get that guy. So instead of just, I don't know, how do people, clearly I don't know how to make friends. So I don't know what people would do. He's a grade above me. I start sitting at his lunch table next to him and talking to all his friends and him, like we're buddies. Showing up outside of his class. He played hockey once, got in his car, and he came out and I was like there. And I did this, just placed myself in his life, and he thought I was so weird. I could just see it on his face. He's like, you're sitting at my lunch table again? Without my friends, just me. And just being like, oh, hey, like, blah, 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 blah. And then I'd leave, and I'd be like, well, that was a great interaction. Until he finally was, I think people, this is how I get the guy. They're finally like, you're not going away. And you seem to place yourself wherever I am, like a professional stalker. And there's nothing else for me to do except just accept you into my life as, I guess, my girlfriend, because that seems to be what you want. And clearly you're not getting the message.
Stockholm.
I guess I'll just do that.
You basically just, your relationship strategy is a light form of Stockholm syndrome. Got it. Okay.
Yes. Just like psychological warfare. Until they're like, okay, fine. I'm like, yes.
I nailed it. Literally.
Wow, I am so good at relationships. That's how I did it with every boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm thinking back and it's alarming how similar. There's a pretty good pattern there.
It's very aggressive too. Up to the first kiss where I'm like, are you going to kiss me or what? Very aggressive. Just like, what are we doing here if you're not going to kiss me? And I think they're like, I hardly know you and you seem quite crazy.
Quite unstable.
You're definitely not stable. I'm just like, what? Are we going to go out? Or are you just going to like stand there like an idiot? And they're like, wow, this is not loving.
Not a loving relationship. I also think you and your husband have been together for a while. So Eric, my partner, and I got together now about 4 years ago. But at this point, I'm in my mid to late 30s when we got together. And I remember on our first run, which is our first time hanging out, I was basically like, well, yeah, just so you know, I don't want kids. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of information for 1 mile in. I was like, well, that's true. but also these are the facts. So I think there's also a lack of titrating out parts of ourselves. It's just the faucet is on and you get all of it all the time.
But it also makes it, I think, go faster. You're like, this is what you get. I don't want kids. I didn't waste any of your time other than this mile.
You're like,
Which
you
I
can
think
turn
you can
around
get back.
right now. You were going to go for a run anyway. So now you just run away from me. You're still here. Yeah. Great. I think there's also just an implied acceptance, right? If they're not actively running away, then that must be great. They agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. It's like friends I tend to be very aggressive with. And then to get into romantic relationships, historically, I have been quite aggressive as well.
Extremely. I'm really interested to see how this plays out in the long term over life. I don't know if you've had the experience of friends or meeting people in your community who are in their 50s or 60s. And they're like finally feeling like they're living their lives for the first time. And like they are coming to grips with understanding what they want. And I'm always so excited for them. And I'm so happy for them. I think it's a really beautiful experience. And I think we're all always on a journey of figuring out like, what do I want? How is this version of myself going to be fulfilled? Because it certainly is different as we get older, right? And like our values and priorities change. I think that's very normal. But I also, every time I meet someone who's kind of going through that experience, I'm always a little confused, like, wow. So your whole life, was it an effort to not be you, or did you just not know? Because like, I can't turn it off. Even when I want.
Except because I feel like being neurodivergent, perhaps the beginning of our life was more about masking to fit in with that childhood group. And then at some point that becomes so tiring, like so much earlier that you're like, well, fuck it. I can't do this. I'm just going to be me. So I almost feel like in a way it's easier just to be yourself because you're like, I'm different anyway. So I'm not really fitting in anyway. So like, I don't have much to lose. Like, you know,
I was already the outcast. Oh yeah.
I guess I'll just be more of that.
Totally. This is a really good point. So growing up, I went to public school for my young life. And then we moved before high school and I went to this really, really small high school. But when I was in public school, I went to a regular public school where it was hundreds of children. And I don't know if other people's public schools were like this, but I have talked to enough people that it seems like a universal experience that there's a person in every grade that gets made fun of. And there's like a person at the school that gets made fun of, right? We're like, that person spans grades. So grades below and grades above know of that one weirdo that is the target. It's like, okay to make fun of that person. I was that person.
I had a feeling you were going there.
You don't say. I was just weird, but I would like show up to school in things that like I thought were neat. These cool boots called mucklucks. And let me tell you that zero other people thought mucklucks were cool or even knew what they were. And so, yeah, I think your point is well made. We're like, what was I going to do? Stop wearing the mucklucks? Everyone was still going to make fun of me. I already had that target on my back. So like, fuck them. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like people who can almost fit in, it's like they continue that up until a later age because they can fit into certain groups pretty easily. Whereas I feel like we're just like, well, I don't know. I mean, now looking back, it's like, I'll just make my own group. And it's exactly like you say, where when I'm 100% myself, there's that person who sees you and they get your humor and you're like, okay, we're friends. And you just know. Like destiny. Versus being these sort of mediocre friends with everybody else and holding it together. It's like a shooting star. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it is really cool.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
It's 110%.
And I feel like that's what happened with us. It's like, whoa, Natalie and Deeley are a lot. And we're like, we are best friends. And they're like, you have said 2 words to each other. And we're like, and
we know.
What's your question?
When you know, you know. Listeners can't see this, but I'm leaning closer to the computer. Trying to crawl inside of the computer.
It's like a computer hug. It's just like eyeballs and eyebrows. To emphasize this, I can feel the excitement. It's amazing.
Yes, this is 110% what happened when we met. And I was really excited because Eric had been talking about you. And he was like, I really feel like you're going to like Natalie. And I was like, okay, thank you. That's great.
You're like, don't tell me who I like because I'm oppositionally defiant, jerk.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, fuck, he was right. And then we started a business and have a podcast. And so he was right.
Our business is going great, by the way.
Yeah, business is going great. We've done a lot of work on it. But we still have that Google Doc. That's good.
The idea is sound. Don't take it from us.
No. But if you do find that list with the other good ideas, those are also ours. And send them to us.
Give them back, jerk. So, I don't know. If you want to make friends, I would say either do the very opposite of what we said or do the exact thing that we said. And then you figure out which way works for you.
If you hear this advice and think that sounds horrifying, great, don't do it. But if you hear this advice and you think, wow, there maybe is a kernel of truth in that, then you go buck wild, friends.
Yeah,
And
you do that.
You talk to random strangers about Bob and you see what happens. You're just casting a net. You're casting a net and seeing what it brings in.
So true.
Amazing.
Well, another great piece of advice, I would say.
Yeah.
Both relationships, romantic and friendships.
Yes. And obviously, if you're looking for a romantic relationship, I think the real takeaway is just not only be yourself, but also scream obscenities.
Be in their space, always.
Oh, yeah. Physically invade their space. Not actually good advice. It's 2026 and consent is important. So don't actually do that or do. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay, bye.
I'm
so comforting now.
Oh my God.